let me know. Okay. This is the meeting of the Administrative Committee on April 11th, 2022, and it's 2 o'clock, so we can begin the meeting. All members are present. So can we have a roll call, please?
Director Edwards,
Here.
Director Paul,
Here.
Chair Anderson,
Yes, here.
all are present.
Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No, there's none.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, we invite members of the public to comment on any issues that are not on the agenda today. Do we have anybody here, Sarah?
You
Well-
do, I see no raised hands.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's look at the first item is our action items. And first item is the adoption of the minutes from March 4th. Do we have any comments or corrections?
I have none.
I have none.
I move to adopt the minutes.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call vote?
Director Paul,
Yes.
Director Edwards,
Yes.
Chair Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes 3-0.
Okay, and the second one is an issue we've been discussing for a while. Consider the increase of funds for the consultant services for Sleepy Hollow steelhead rearing monitoring, and that is item 2.
Yeah, I'll take this one. My name is Thomas, and I'd like to just give you a brief overview of this one. Back in July, the board authorized a contract with Telemetrics for consulting services for many things related to the technical aspects of the Sleepy Hollow steelhead rearing facility. This includes the alarms that happen out there, the programming for operation of the facility that is done through a computer interface called the HMI screen, and much of the communication between the actual facility and a remote access that in case something happens in the middle of the night at 3 in the morning, you can kind of see how the facility is functioning. So there's many technical aspects to this, and it's still relatively new. What happened with this particular situation is that the district used to have a general liability policy that was required was $2 million. And in the process of doing, getting the proposal from Telemetrics, this was a thing that was being evaluated by the district and district council of what kind of policy we should have. The board approved this item with the current budget and the old general liability. There's a new requirement now based on the value of the facility, which because of the improvements, the facility is, probably close to worth 5 million. So based on council and CFO discussions, they wanted an increase in the insurance. So we communicated that to Telemetrics, and they said that is obviously an increase in cost and burden on them, which is roughly just over $9,100. So we are coming to the board after the mid-year budget adjustment, after we learned of this, and asking for additional funds to cover that increase in cost for insurance so that we can continue having Telemetrics make refinements to our system, which, for example, this year, something that we didn't really anticipate is we have a screen that cleans by itself, but because of the high sediment load, we needed a programming change to have that screen run continuously versus on just several rotations per hour. So those are the kind of things that we're learning as we operate the facility, that little subtleties like that, the inflow started to go down, so that he ran out there in the middle of the night with Larry Hampson, and they did a quick programming change so that the screen was cleaning continuously, and that solved the problem. So if you have some additional questions, we can answer those, but it was really a change in policy that the district placed on telemetrics after the board had seen the item and had approved the item that brought us here to this today.
So just to clarify, is it a policy change or just that the value of the facility is higher and so the policy costs more than anticipated?
It's a good question. Suresh, do you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
cover that?
Director Paul, let me answer that. So basically, the exposure to the district is quite significant on this. The facility has been upgraded. It's over $2 million facility now. We just went through a new set of construction there, which cost us roughly about $2.5 million, plus all the other components that were already previously placed. So a $2 million policy does not cover everything, the components and all that that's connected to the facility. When the gentleman from telemetrics, if he's programming something, let's just say if something goes wrong, blows up the facility, if we do a $2 million liability coverage on that, that doesn't cover our repair of the entire facility. So the levels of policy, we have two of them now. It's either $5 million or $2 million. $2 million is for small stuff, small work for consulting, where they work on facilities that is not worth up to $2 million. That's where the $2 million policy is. Anything above $2 million worth of facility, we go with the $5 million general liability coverage. So that's what we have decided to do with all the contractors.
Okay, so having this type of liability insurance, that's not new. It's we need more protection now.
More protection, correct.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
And Suresh, is the difference, so the difference is about $9,000, but we must have had some slush money in there already, so we're only being asked for $8,060.
Yeah, so I think previously the board approved a $26 million contract, I believe, right, Thomas?
Yeah, so, well, the original contract was for 17,940. And then at mid-year budget adjustment, we bumped it up to 26,000. So if you take the difference of those two numbers, it's just, it's 8,060 that we're asking for. The actual cost of the increased insurance is, where is that?
9,000 to the contractor.
Yeah, 9,119.50. So yeah, there was a little bit of wiggle room there, on the order of a few $100, I believe, because when you set up something like this, you're forecasting the hourly rate and potential work to be done there, which could be an emergency alarm, for example, that Larry and telemetrics attended to. So, you know, that money was used for that, and, you know, those things happen and additional tweaks to the program happen.
So is normally the way it's done is that the liability insurance is one of the budgeted expenses that the contractor, I mean, it's part of the contract, included in the contractor's bid is the cost of liability insurance. Is that how it works normally?
That's how it normally works, correct.
Yeah, okay.
It's cost of
So-
doing business for them, so they add it on the proposal.
Yeah, so they just didn't know it would be this much. Is that what happened?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
So we talking about insurance. So do we have a deductible on that? Or if something, is this for equipment that they put in?
And this is all of our equipment that we've put in there. So if something happens to our facility from the contractor's workmanship, then we are 100% covered.
Okay,
One question, you said that there was a mid-year adjustment. What was the number at mid-year? Our total? I'm trying to understand. We had 17,940 original, and then it went up to 26,000. Was that the mid-year?
That was the media budget number, yes, total.
Okay, so we're asking for $8,060 more than the mid-year.
No, we're asking for 8,000 from the original $17,000. So this will bring it to total 26,000.
And we knew that in mid-year, or this is mid-year. Where are we?
Yeah, we added 10,000 to the mid-year budget. The original number that I have was 16,000. So the board and previous discussions must have allowed for the 17,940, which was slightly over the budgeted amount. So we added 10,000 to the 16, which brought it to 26 now. I'm not sure how we got to the 17. That was a previous
Okay,
staff note and negotiation with Larry and the powers to be.
so basically we're at 26,000 and that will cover it.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
and just my final question on this, is this the only insurance company that can do this, or are we able to shop around?
No, this is not up to us, Director Edwards. This is basically Telemetrics is using their insurance carrier, whoever that may be. So it's up to them who they choose as the insurance provider.
But
we are just selecting the consulting company, which is Telemetrics.
But we can't shop around. We stuck with them. If this go up another 8,000 next year, after mid-year review, what can we do?
I think I could help answer that, Alvin. Telemetrics is the one who did the original programming and installation at the facility. I asked another firm to give a proposal for providing the same services. Currently, Telemetrics services 26,000. The company that gave us a proposal said it would be a minimum of $60,000. That's if they do work or they don't do work. Their standby charge would amount to $60,000 per year.
Okay, that cleared that up. Next time, just y'all try to put that in the report a little bit, so I won't be asking that. Tell me that you went out and looked, and that's what we got. If no comments from the public, I move for approval.
I second.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public?
I see one caller, and just a reminder, if you do wish to speak, to press *9, please. Looks like there's no comments, Chair Anderson.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's have a roll call vote.
Director Edwards,
Approval?
Director Paul,
Yes,
Chair Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay. I like this mulch madness. Great. Have we done mulch madness before?
We have not, and this item actually will be presented by Stephanie Kester Campbell.
Okay.
I'm Stephanie
Looks
Kester
like
Campbell. I
you're
also
muted,
have
Stephanie.
Joe DiMaggio here representing Caliam, and he's going to weigh in here if I miss anything. But we want to propose a Mulch Madness event, which is a program to give away mulch for free to people on the peninsula, to CalAm and MPWMD residents. And so we got quotes from mulch providers on the peninsula who unfortunately were not interested in giving any discounts on the mulch, which is why we've selected Topes Tree. Well, they've expanded to a full garden center and they're located in Salinas. So this will be a drive for our customers, but they're offering about a 42% discount to us to provide the mulch. So the proposal is to give 2 cubic yards to each person for free. And this costs us $30 per person per property. And then they'll extend the discount for additional yards of mulch, let's see, for $25. So they're giving them 30% off additional mulch. And the benefit of mulch is that it goes on the landscape, the soil surface, and it helps to maintain moisture in the soil. And it saves water 20 to 25% as opposed to unmulched surface. And it is organic. It breaks down and helps build soil. So it does need to be topped off yearly. So we want to, remind people they may have had mulch in the past and haven't maintained it. So adding it where it's broken down or putting it in where they don't have any is really important. And if this goes well, we would like to extend it with additional funds. But at this point, we're requesting $10,000 from the district. This is budgeted funds. And CalAm will be matching this money. So a total of $20,000 would go towards mulch, and the advertising and the whole program itself. So it would go on Monterey Water Info's website as a form that the interested person would fill out, go to a CalAm staff member for verification that they're a CalAm customer, and then they would be sent a voucher to take to Topes to redeem. So once they get to Topes, they get 2 yards for free for pickup. And if they'd like it delivered, they would need to pay delivery. We did try really hard to work in delivery to the program, just was not feasible. Let's see. So we're going to do advertising through CalAm's email blast, which is awesome. It's free, goes to all their customers. It's been really effective in all of our outreach for classes and getting signups. And what's great about that is it gives them the link right there to go directly to Monterey Water Info. And then we'll also be using ads in the paper and Facebook, social media to advertise as well. So with that, Joe, do you have anything to add that I might have missed?
No, I mean, well said. I mean, we've been wanting to do this for a long time. We had 2 Mulch Madness events where we had mulch delivered to, I think one time was at Delray Wood School, and one time it was at City of Monterey's Cutting Day. And it was, it was pretty successful. But, a lot of customers don't have vehicles to put the mulch in, but this way they'll have an option to have it delivered.
I have a question for whichever of you. Is there a way to help in the advertising by saying 2 yards? And I assume these are going to come in a bag. It's not going to be, is it going to just be?
It'll primarily be for loading in a truck bed. So
Okay.
no, they have the option to bag it there on site, but the average person would borrow a truck and have it loaded into their truck bed.
If it was bagged, will it fit in 2 bags that kind of approximate the size of these large compost bags that you get at the, at the nursery, or what can we tell people? They can do it in an SUV and get it bagged, or what?
Well, I think two yards will fit in a trunk. Correct me if I'm wrong there, guys, but I think it's just 2 large bags if you bag it. have done that before where I've actually thought about putting in a tarp or something in the back of your car to be able to load it in and then pull it out, which is another option. But of course, you're going to get little bark chips all over anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that they have an option. So if somebody's going over to purchase or to take advantage of the program, they may want additional mulch, in which case it should go probably in the back of a truck would be the easiest way to do that.
Sure.
But if it's just for the two free, then yeah, it should fit. I would think it would fit in most cars.
Yeah, I mean, whether someone has to pay $5 for it to be bagged or something, that would be up to them.
Yeah.
But if it would fit, that I think that's good information for people, because if they think that they have to have a giant truck and they don't know, they might not respond.
Good point. We'll include that in the advertising.
So
Well, customers can choose, excuse me, customers can choose if they want to have it delivered as well.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, what I'm hoping for is that we get some customers, oh, the first 2 cubic yards is free. And anything above that, they get a 30% discount. And what I'm hoping for is that they say, you know what, okay, have it delivered. I mean, the delivery prices, they were kind of high. I mean, it's like $50 to $90, depending on where you live.
Yeah. But yeah, you could get a whole yard full if you have a large yard.
Yeah.
So I'll add another thing to this, and that was that when I reviewed the original proposal, I do have a concern about how many people will take advantage of this program, just given that fact that it may or may not work well for people to go over and pick it up and have it in their vehicle and brought back. So we've scaled this way back just so we can see how it works. And then if we find that there's a lot of participation, we actually have additional funds in our budget that we could release for additional mulch. But this is scaled back. One of the biggest expenditures of this proposal is the development of all the collateral, the advertising. And so that really is a big expense. And then what we can do in the future, we'll already have this stuff developed so that we can bring it back out and use it again in the coming years.
Super. That's good to know.
would this be available to, say, school districts, local governments, in addition to private residents? Oh, Stephanie, you're muted.
Sorry.
Well, for now, we were going to do it just for residential customers, to start with residential customers.
Mhm.
So I would suggest we actually open it up to our commercial as
Commercial,
well.
okay.
So, because I think what we're going to find as this dry year continues,
Mhm.
that the state of California is going to require that lawn areas that are just for decoration
Mhm.
are not going to get watered. And that may result in people having to pull out lawn, businesses pulling out. I mean, I'm just driving
Okay.
around yesterday. I noticed several places that have grass that if they're required to take it out, then they probably want to put in some kind of landscape. And this would be perfect for that type of thing to encourage
Okay.
that type of a change.
Okay.
So it could be made available to commercial customers? Is that what you're suggesting? And
Yeah.
and I guess, and that would include like schools and
Mhm.
city governments and that sort of customers?
Yeah, although the city governments have their own supply, Karen. So, the cities do a lot of mulching of their trees and bushes and whatnot, and they have pretty big stockpiles. So and what we're offering for free is such a small amount that,
Mhm.
this really is geared toward the small homeowner, or, our office area is a great example of a very small landscaped area that could benefit from something like this.
Mhm.
But I'd like to see it go forward first and see how it gets, how people accept it and whether it's really something that's positive. And if it is, then we can expand it going forward too.
And the dates, the beginning and ending dates of the program? Have you set those?
I think we're looking at May. Is that right, you guys?
Yes, May. Mhm.
The month of May?
And we have not yet specified exact dates because we were waiting to get approval
Mhm.
from both this committee as well as the board. So the board will also consider this on the 18th.
Uh-huh.
Well, I hope that when you talk about the businesses, you talk about the small ones, You know, one business could come in there and take a good majority. If you're gonna put a limit on how much they can take too?
Yes, they're only eligible for 2 free cubic yards, so they cannot
Okay.
get any additional for free. They pay for it themselves.
Okay,
Well, and if I were Topes, I would wonder about even a large business coming in and getting that same discount. That might not be so good for their bottom line. If somebody really wanted a whole lot of it, there must be something built in.
Yeah, and so perhaps Stephanie and Joe, we should talk about what what the top limit would be of that discount price for the mulch.
Okay.
But they do have to be customers and they do have to be resident, they have to be within the water district, which, they can be within the water district and not be a CalAm customer. So we would still let those people participate. But if they're in the CalAm service area, then CalAm has the ability to check all those records and make sure that they are legitimate.
Mhm. I guess you could put a quantity limit just to make sure you don't have anybody trying to take advantage of, get large quantities,
Yeah.
if that's a
what I
concern.
was suggesting. I would like to say totally off topic, but that after all these years of calling Joe DiMaggio the magic man to reach to solve problems, I'm glad to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you too. Nice to meet everybody here. I mean, I know most everyone here. Alvin, you've known him, Suresh. Yeah, nice to meet you. And Karen as well.
We're meeting. Yeah, good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I wanted to say that, I've been working with the Water District. I've been at CalAm for 35 years and I've been in conservation for 15, and I just want you folks to know how much, I enjoy our partnership. I enjoy working with both Stephanies, and, we partner with all of our conservation programs and, it's really a lot of fun working together with you folks.
Well, we want these programs to be successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
well, on that note,
Okay.
I move for approval with no public comment.
I second.
Okay.
Has anybody raised their hand out there?
Our public are only district employees right now, other than
Okay,
Joe.
thank you. Okay. So shall we have a roll call vote?
Director Edwards,
Move approval.
Director Paul,
Yes, to approve, recommending approval.
Chair Anderson.
Yes, with our suggestions incorporated.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, all right,
you.
folks. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you too, both Stephanies.
Okay, this is an interesting one to me. The one about the document recording fees. I assume this means copying and sending them up to the cloud. Is that what we're talking about?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's actually, all of our deed restrictions are recorded. And I'm going to let Stephanie give her presentation, and then if there are questions, so go ahead.
So a number of years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, 6 years ago, when we're recording deed restrictions with the county, instead of walking them over there, mailing them over there, there's actually a service called CSC for short, where they have basically a portal that you upload the documents into, and they get sent over electronically to the county. They're able to record them and charge an account for the recording fees. And so that turns the process down, time-wise, 2 to 3 hours instead of, a couple of days. No more hard copies, that kind of thing. So it's all electronic. And this is how we record our deed restrictions. And, we've been doing so with our kind of a standard budget. However, we noticed that there was an increase in the number of permits that were coming through, actually a 30% increase over last year. And so the funding was being run through rather quickly for that. So at mid-year budget adjustments, the budget was increased. And then we're requesting actual approval from this committee to utilize those funds so that we can continue recording deed restrictions for all of our permits. As a reminder, about 40% of those fees are recovered and charged to the applicant. The public access deed restriction is recorded at the district expense. And I can go into what that is if you have more questions. But otherwise, this is just additional money to keep recording deed restrictions for the remainder of the year.
Through the chair, I have a question.
Go ahead.
What's confusing to me is why you need board approval to expend the funds. If the board approved these funds for this purpose already, why do you need board approval to spend the money now for the?
I was
approved
confused
purpose?
on that too, and Suresh directed me so he can give us all a reminder on that.
Yeah, Director Paul, the board basically adopted the budget. The budget is not a approval of expenditure of funds. So basically, if it's anything over $15,000, it's beyond the general manager's authority. The board has to give a authorization for those specific projects or expenditure of the funds. The budget is just a planning tool, a guidance in terms of what the district is going to spend and what it's going to receive, but it's never the authorization to spend money.
Well, that's something I need to know for sure. So anything over 15,000 is needs.
The general manager has authority of up to $15,000. Generally, we bring even amounts less than $15,000 for transparency reasons, so the board is aware of the expenditure.
Mhm.
But if the board wanted to, it can, I mean, if the general manager wanted to, it has the authority to spend up to $15,000.
I see. Thank you.
And just quickly to add to that as well. So the last item, the mulch madness, was a $10,000 expenditure by the district. But because it is such an interesting and unusual kind of expenditure, we will bring those to you, even though they could be approved without coming to the committee.
Oh, yeah, no, that's definitely a good idea. It's an opportunity to publicize the program.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I have no more questions.
Okay, from me, how much have we collected from the people that come in with these permits? Do we have a number? You're asking for an increase now. I want to know how much
I
has
don't
been.
have that number handy.
Y'all don't have that number?
I don't have that number now, but we can definitely get it to you at the board meeting.
Okay, because I want to know how much they giving. Do we have to raise their fees to catch up?
Okay,
We're
so
paying 24,000. Do we have to raise in the future? Do we have to raise their fees up to collect that 24,000 back somehow?
So the recording fee is already set at whatever is charged to us is charged to the applicant. So whenever the recording fees go up, we adjust that in our database and it's reflected in the bill to the customer. So we are collecting 40% of it back on our permits.
Yeah,
Okay.
Director Edwards, it's a direct pass through, but what Stephanie Kister's staff report says that there's an activity increase in permit applications coming through the office. So basically, when we originally came to the board to get the $26,000 authorization, that was based on a certain number of applications. Now, if the application increases, then so does the fee itself. So it's not like we are not recuperating the money. Whatever's being billed to the customer, it's a direct pass through. But because the activity in the number of permit has increased, there is a need to increase the total fee on the recording of the fee.
And there are
Okay.
also there are also there are also deed restrictions that are recorded on every water permit issued that the board directed us to record. So those fees are not reimbursed by the applicant.
Okay,
That's what I was going to ask, because 40%, I was going to ask, why is it 40% and
Yeah,
not 100?
part of it is these fees for deed restriction recording, and then the other one is our enforcement recording. So when we place a notice of non-compliance on a property, depending on the circumstances, the property owner is responsible to pay for those fees. But there are times when the district lifts fees or lifts deed restrictions for other reasons, and that becomes one of our costs. But primarily this is for our public access deed restriction that is not reimbursed.
Okay. That clarifies. Thank you very much. Any other questions from the directors?
For me. I move approval.
I'll second it.
All right. And there's nobody in the public, I take?
No, we do have a public member attending by telephone ending in 754. So we at least have one public member.
Yeah, I think that's Joe DiMaggio's phone number. I think.
I should have memorized that by now. So many times. Okay, let's have a vote. Sarah, can we have a vote?
Director Paul,
Thank you.
Director Paul,
Yes.
Director Edwards,
Yes,
Chair Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Okay. This was an interesting list of our surplus at.
Item number 5, declaration of surplus assets.
Yeah, that's a very
Yeah.
interesting
This
list.
is our cleaning house bill sort of thing, where we basically take it to the board to declare the assets of no value or use to the district. So once we've declared them surplus, the policy for the board dictates that we can donate it to other nonprofit organizations. The list, as you'll see on the next page, those assets are not that some other public agency will want them. So almost 100% of the time, we end up taking them to the Last Chance Mercantile or to the dump, where we have to get rid of them because nobody really wants to get rid of them from our hands. So we have to list them individually by the item itself. And these are some of the items that actually came from our Carmel Valley office when we closed that facility. And then also some IT changes, IT defective products that gets replaced. So you'll see them from like desktop scanners to monitors. We changed servers that's been sitting idle for a few years now that needs to be surplused and get rid of. So we also did our server room exchange. So you'll see the last item there was the server rack and shelving. So some of these IT and non-IT stuff, it's all a combination mixture of things. We just need to get rid of them. It's taking up space in our garage. So this is
Like my garage.
yeah, so this is an exercise. We do it at least 2 or 3 times a year. We bring the list to the board and have them declare them surplus, so then we can start getting rid of them.
What is a North Star module?
What number is that?
That's 18.
That was our old telephone system.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Just makes me laugh.
Do we have someone in charge of wiping if there are any computers that might be reused by someone? Do we have somebody making sure that all the data is removed before we give it away?
Yes, the hard drives are taken out. So when you get these servers or computers that's gotten rid of, the hard drives are already chucked away separately.
And like laptops?
Yeah, it's all wiped out.
Yeah.
Laptops are put on the surplus list.
Good. I was surprised to hear you do this 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, sometimes less frequently, once a year, sometimes 2 times a year. This year, it may be 3 times a year, I think. We'll have to see.
Okay. Any questions from you, Director Edwards?
no questions.
See anything you want?
No, I see it, but I can't get it. So that's
Yeah.
all right.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right.
That's all right.
I recommend that we accept this.
I'll second it.
Take your pick.
Okay, Sarah?
Director Paul,
Yes?
Director Edwards,
Yes,
Chair Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, and we are on to the treasurer's report, page 23.
This is the treasurer's report for the month of February. We did cut checks in the amount of $1.325 million. Exhibits 6A, B, C, and D are basically the supplemental reports to the treasurer's report.
Mhm.
Exhibit 6A on page 25, you'll see the actual treasurer's report in numbers. We started the month with a little over $20 million. We closed the month with $21.079 million. All of the categories for the separate accounts, the checking, the money market, and the LAIF, and then also the multi-bank securities, which is our CD deposits, all listed separately. We also have listed a Pebble Beach reclamation project that's just for reporting purposes. Exhibits B, C, and D are attached, which is the check register and the unaudited financial statement. So if there's any questions on any of the check registers, I can answer them.
I didn't find any questions. Any from Director Paul, Director Edwards?
None for me.
Not for me.
Okay. So I move acceptance of the adoption of the treasurer's report.
I'll second it.
That's what we're recommending to the board, right? That's what
Yes.
we mean, yeah. Okay, I guess we can vote.
Yes.
Director Paul,
Yes,
Director Edwards,
Yes,
Director Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
So items 7 and 8 are just informational items. It will go to the board as well as informational items. If there's questions, we can go over them. If not, we can go to item 9.
Yeah.
no, I have no questions at this time.
no questions.
Anybody have any suggestions about any additional items to be placed on the board meeting agenda?
Madam Chair, you're talking about agenda item 9 on the committee meeting?
Yes,
Okay. I'd just like to point out that we did place a closed session conference with legal counsel to discuss the lawsuit against LAFCO on the anticipation that there might have been some development worthy of discussion. We certainly have filed the action, and I believe that we'll be attaching a full copy of the complaint to the agenda so that members of the public can see that. But I'm not certain that there's an hour worth of discussion. I'm not even certain that there's a half hour or 15 minutes worth of discussion, because there are no decision points to be made. And I'm very reluctant to have the board have to meet to not have something to talk about.
so if all we need to do is to inform the public and update the public, then we can just have it in open session.
That's true. And we do have a report on this under item 16 anyways. So what I'm suggesting is that it would be appropriate to cancel the 5 p.m. closed session.
That makes sense to me. And we've talked about this many times.
Right.
All the subject matter.
Not that I don't enjoy meeting with you, but
Okay,
What?
that makes perfect sense.
Mr. Edwards, you had a,
Yeah, just a correction, just to make sure you have nothing new to report on this.
that's
Anything?
correct.
Okay,
There is it has been filed. CalAm has not yet responded. We had thought that there perhaps might have been a response, but there's nothing. We have no new information to tell the board and there's no need to get direction from the board at this point.
okay, and you mentioned CalAm. You mean LAFCO?
Or CalAm.
Thank you. LAFCO, yes, there is a
Okay,
real
good.
party in interest. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But it would either be LAFCO or CalAm or any other person. No one else, no other party or person has filed anything in the action.
But just correct me right fast. Can Cal-Am join in on this lawsuit?
Cal-Am could seek permission of the court to be deemed a real party in interest. They could.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if it would make sense to, at least until, let's see, our general board meeting's on Monday as well, right?
Yeah, right.
So if we kept that alive at least until Friday and until we get,
You always actually, because under item 16 is the report on this matter, you would always have the opportunity to use that as an excuse to adjourn to closed session for the further report on item 16. That would just be after the meeting. So
that makes sense too.
Yeah,
yes,
that sounds like a good plan. I mean,
Yeah.
if there are questions about the status of the case now, they can probably be answered in open session.
I would think so. Yes. Yeah.
So, and if it, in the unlikely event we need a closed session, that I'm sure that people doing it after this meeting is a good solution.
So Joelle, I'm hearing this, that we can cancel the 5 o'clock portion. Thank you.
I'm hearing that too. Sounds
Thank you,
good.
Dave. So consent calendar, let's just check and see if there's anything that should be pulled now. Oh, well, the mulch madness, isn't that something we wanted to publicize at the meeting, and then we wouldn't want it on consent?
That's a good
We
question.
can take it off the consent and put it on action if you want to publicize that.
Yeah, or pull it from consent and then discuss it right then at the beginning of the meeting. Because if you wait for the action items, it's the end of the meeting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that. Yeah, just
Okay.
have a bit, can we just present it? I mean, it doesn't have to really be, can we present it and then put it back in?
Yeah, if you pull it from the consent item, then staff gives a short presentation and then you can vote on that item.
Okay, well, I'll pull it then, and I can pull it at the on the day of the meeting,
Perfect, thank you.
so that gives you a chance to explain the program, Stephanie.
Yeah,
Well,
and we'll be
that's-
ready for a presentation.
Well, that's the point of making an action item, so she can inform the public. And when we pull something for consent, hey, it might take that 10 or 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. So you want to, I don't want to wait around, but
Actually,
like to
no,
get the flow.
I'm there for the whole meeting, Alvin. So
well, that's why I like to see, make it an action item. That way everybody can get it. Consent people not paying attention to.
Right. So I am embarrassed to say I can't even find it. Where is it?
It's in the consent
number
calendar,
6.
the proposed agenda. Yeah, it's number 6.
It's item number 6.
There it is. Okay, thank you.
Alvin, what you're saying makes sense to me. That was my first thought, to put it on as an action item, if that's how
Yeah.
we're going to treat it. So,
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
make it an action item. We ain't got that much on this agenda.
okay.
And that way it stands out better than being pulled from consent, because people don't pay too much attention to consent.
Good idea. Let's do that.
okay, yeah. All right, it's unanimous. Joelle, so we'll put mulch madness as an action item, okay? Anything else?
Okay. I have nothing else to offer at this time. Director Edwards?
Nope.
Well, I guess not. Okay.
The annual report, just a question. So when will we see this annual report that's on the agenda?
It will go out with the agenda. I believe Thomas is still putting it together, I believe.
Yeah, so the annual report, a draft of it can be found on the Public Outreach Committee agenda for this Thursday, April 14th. So I could send it out to you separately, Chair Paul. Would that work for you?
Sure, yeah, I'd like to see it. Thank you. And I guess I'll get it in the packet for the Public Outreach Committee, but if you don't mind sending it.
Just a comment, since the POC is not meeting until Thursday afternoon, it's likely you won't get a physical packet until Friday. Because we need to wait for the committee meeting to adjourn to see if there's any changes to the report.
Uh-huh.
Right,
Good to
Joel?
know.
But
So
she's on
yeah,
the committee.
George Riley and you and me, I believe.
Yes. George and,
The link did go out late Friday. And then the physical packet was delivered today,
oh,
or should have been.
I'll go look at
Okay,
my
I'll
front
go
door.
check. I'll go check after this meeting. So yeah, if you don't mind, so you said, oh, you said the electronic agenda has already been sent out, so that
Yes.
includes the draft.
Yes.
Of the
Okay.
annual report, that's correct.
Okay, so no need for Joelle to send it to me then. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, this meeting is adjourned at, where it is, 2:52.
All right. Y'all
Thank you,
have a good
Dorothy.
week.
Thanks to all of you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.